Woo! Man, that was a tough one. Spoilers. Jesus Christ, you scared the shit out of me, Batman. What the hell do you want? Sorry. Just wanted to remind you to do a spoiler warning for Batman Arkham Knight, my video game about me. Yeah, I was just about to do that. Just chill. You know, I just got done recording the show. I just wanted to catch my breath a little bit and go over my notes and make sure I got everything under control here. Spoilers is a very important thing. A couple years ago, I broke a man's jaw because he spoiled Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father. Wait, so a couple years ago, so you've never seen Empire Strikes Back, like even till this day. What the hell have you been doing? Sorry, I was a little busy witnessing my parents get murdered in front of me, and then I had to go halfway across the world to home my body to get ready to come back and deliver justice throughout my city. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. I'm sorry about that. Don't worry about it. Make it up to me by letting me intro your video. I don't know. That's kind of my thing. That's what I do, you know. I kind of got this contest going. So you mean to tell me you'll sit down and record yourself drawing, and then you record your video or you record your audio over the video of you drawing, you know, so you can't spare to share the limelight with me, to have me intro your video? How selfish are you? All right. You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Do it. Intro the video. See if I care. Knock yourself out. Thank you. Okay, I'm about to go. Drawing things for complete strangers, but my parents will never watch this because some douchebag bastard took them away from me.
Yellow, and welcome to another episode of Bad Art, a series of videos where I attempt to draw some things and talk some things. So the day has finally come, people. Today we are going to recap Batman Arkham Knight. It was my most anticipated game this year, and I've played it. I've beaten it to completion, and I am happy to say that the game has exceeded expectations. It was phenomenal. I loved it. I mean, it goes like down to the small stuff, man. I mean, I was blown away by the rain effects. Like, it wasn't enough for them to just have it raining and having like the little drops hit you, like having a little animation of the drops hitting you and stuff and other things. But the fact that when you look close enough on Batman's armor or other people or on the Batmobile, it was like you could literally see like little speckles of rain just running down his suit. Like, I thought that was so cool the way they put all that stuff together, man. It really turned out good. The load times weren't bad. I mean, the load times are a little long, but when you think about what exactly they're loading, because back in Arkham City, like, you had all of Arkham City to like play around in, but once you went into a building, you had to go to a load screen and kind of load up that level. Whereas this one, if you notice, like, you fly around Gotham City, and when you go into a building, there's just an animation of him walking through the door as the game loads up the level beyond the door, right? So I thought that was really impressive, the way they did that. I'm happy to say that the character switching that they did, because they were telling this story through like different characters' perspectives. Like, you would be playing as Jim Gordon for like no reason whatsoever, just to like walk into a building and have Batman say, oh, you know, there's this thing going on. You know what I mean? And I thought that was cool the way they did that. It was pretty much like Call of Duty does, just they don't really serve a purpose in you playing as them. They could have easily just made that into another cutscene. But the dual switching with the fighting mechanics, I thought I was gonna have a hard time doing that, but they ended up just making like a push button thing where it was just, you know, you hit some people and it builds up a meter, and once the meter's full, you just hit one button and you automatically switch to the next character. I thought they were gonna make it like the free flow combat, where it's like you gotta build up this meter, or where you have to build up a combo but you can't get hit. But with the team up meter, it didn't matter if you got hit or not. It just built up regardless. Let's get to the most controversial part of the game, the Batmobile. Man, I mean, once again, there's a half that likes the Batmobile. There's another half that loves the Batmobile. And to me, from what I was seeing, it just seemed like the half that didn't like it was the biggest. Like, they were the loudest. It's just, like, most of the people that talked about it was just like, I hated the tank battles. I hated it. And I was like, dude, I love the tank battles. I'm sorry, but because my whole thing was, I was afraid that was all it was going to be, was tank battles. I thought it was just going to be you driving from point A to point B, solving some puzzles here and there, and tank battles, you know. But it was a good mix, I thought. And it was really cool with the lines where you could see like the tank's line of sight, and you have to kind of like find the right spot to where you don't get hit, so you can continue to build up your meter to do things like EMP attacks and taking over drones, which is what I used a lot. I was doing all kinds of crap, man. I was turning into the Batmobile and just running head on to people with the afterburner exploding through them. They had my chase scenes that I was looking for. There was like a lot of chase scenes that you could do that were incorporated into side missions as well. Although they still did the little cheap thing with the computer driving AI where it's like they'll be in an armored car and be speeding down the street at 100 miles per hour and do like a hairpin turn, you know, and not even tip the car over. Like, you know, it's just, that's a little nitpick thing that I didn't really care for. But other than that, man, I love the Batmobile. I love driving around in it. It handled nicely. I had to get used to the controls because for the first like maybe couple minutes of the game when I was driving around, I kept hitting the L2 or the L2 trigger to brake, but that's what turns you into the tank mode. So I had to get used to that a little bit, but once I got used to it, it was all good, man. I was speeding around corners like it wasn't nothing. What took me by surprise though, what like really had me jumping up and down, was I did not expect them to have you do platforming with the Batmobile. Like, there's a part where you have to power up this generator, and it's on the roof of a building. So like Batman and Lucius are talking, and Lucius is like, well, you know, if you could find a way to get the Batmobile up to that building, you know, you could power it up with the winch, right? So like all of a sudden they just kind of do that thing where they pan around the level and they're kind of showing you how, you know, where you have to jump the car and drive it around to get to the control panel. And I was like, holy shit, are they really going to have me like treat this car like it's an actual person and just drive it around on top of buildings and winching on to one building and driving up the side of it? Like, it was ridiculous, man. And that was the other thing I noticed too, was like the Batmobile itself was just so many callbacks to all the other Batmobiles, mainly in the Batman movies that have come before the game. So I really liked how they did that with the car. I liked how they did that with the missions as well. You know, they had little callbacks to that. So it was cool, man. I was very satisfied with the Batmobile. I'm in that group of people who love the mechanic. And honestly, I just felt like it was a real big risk for Rocksteady to do that, and I'm glad they did, because if they hadn't put the Batmobile in there, the game just would have been a better looking version of Arkham City, pretty much. You know, that's how I look at it, you know, anyway. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it a lot. What else can I say? Oh yeah, I like to team up with the Batmobile too. Like, that had a dual attack where, you know, you build up the meter and you'll be like beating the shit out of people, and you just knock them in the air, and it just hits the person in midair with the riot round. You know, like, that was crazy how they did that. My only complaint with the Batmobile was when oh yeah, they had the stealth missions too, where you drove around and because there were little tanks drones that drove around and were shooting at you. But then eventually in the game you get to these even bigger like scorpion tanks where they're like huge, and you had to like sneak around, because if they locked onto you, they would pretty much just blow the car up, you know, or the ammo that they were using would just rip the car to shreds. So you had to like sneak around and shoot at the tanks, right? And a lot of people hated that too, because they were like, oh, well, I'm driving around in a tank and I have to sneak around in it. Like, that's not Batman. You know, everybody kept saying the tank mode didn't feel like Batman. It didn't make them feel like Batman. And I mean, just to take a side note, people, what exactly is Batman? How do you define Batman? There's so many different versions of him, you know? Like, there's the corny version that Adam West did. There's the more serious version that Michael Keaton and Christian Bale did. There's the goofier versions like that George Clooney did, you know? Like, what exactly, how can you lock this down, you know? I mean, everybody's got their preference. I mean, my first foray into Batman was the Burton movie back in 1989. And, you know, and that's why I find it weird where everybody just stresses like, well, Batman doesn't kill. Batman doesn't kill. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, but my earliest memory of Batman was the Burton movie where he tossed one dude down a set of stairs in the clock tower, which he most likely fell to his death. And when he wrapped the grappling hook around Joker's ankle and then connected that to a gargoyle to drag Joker off the helicopter and fall to his death. So everybody trying to emphasize that Batman doesn't kill is kind of weird to me, you know? But I mean, honestly, I prefer my Batman to where he's just a really grumpy dude. He beats the shit out of people. He has no problem like breaking their bones and stuff. You know, he sits, you know, by day he's at Wayne Enterprises listening to or pretending to listen to business meetings, trying not to fall asleep. And in his brain, he's just like, God, I can't wait till nightfall so I can go out and fight crime. You know what I mean? So that's the Batman that I like. But I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, but I didn't see that when I was driving around as a, you know, in the tank mode of the Batmobile. I still felt like Batman, and the music helped with that too. And the music was just phenomenal. Like, out of all the other Arkham games I've played, I don't ever remember, like, I remember hearing music. It just never, like, got me to the point where I'm like, oh, man, I'm so hyped right now. Like, that happened to me in this game. Like when I was driving around in stealth mode or trying to, like, sneak behind the Scorpion tanks to take them out. Like, the music that was playing behind that was phenomenal. My favorite part in the entire game was after the Arkham Knight crushes the Batmobile. Like, you go and save Barbara from falling off a building. So you catch her and you land like in this graveyard and all these drone tanks come up and just start like shooting at him. And Barbara's like, where's the Batmobile? And he's like, it's destroyed. And she's like, oh my God, what? What do you mean? He's like, don't worry, Lucius sent the spare. And then the Batwing comes in and he just drops the Batmobile down, dude. And it's all like, it's not even painted yet. It's still all like gray and yellow and shit. And it's like when the music hits, dude, because then it goes in the remote control mode. So you got to like take out the tanks and like, you know, and protect Batman and Barbara. Like, that whole scene mixed with the music and stuff, like, it was the bomb, man. Like, that shit was so tight. Like, that was my favorite part in the entire game. But yeah, man, like, everybody talking about how they didn't feel like Batman in tank mode. Like, I don't agree with that. I didn't have a problem with that. But getting back to my only problem with the tank. It was this one part where after you take out Arkham Knight, Deathstroke takes over his spot, right? And he starts commanding the army that Arkham Knight has set up. So, like, as you're doing these side missions where you take out checkpoints and mines in the street and stuff and taking out watchtowers, every time you take one out, Deathstroke is just like talking all this shit, like, oh, you know, Batman, I've been waiting for this rematch, you know, I'm gonna kill you this time, Batman. I've been training, I'm ready for you, you know. He's just doing this the whole time, right? So after you take out the like all the APCs or all the troops and stuff around Gotham, you finally get to the point where, like, Deathstroke's like, all right, you know, just me and you, mano a mano, let's do this, right? And Batman's like, all right, meet me in Times Square or Grand Central, whatever the hell it's called. But he's like, meet me there, you know, we'll settle this, right? So I'm driving there, I glided there, and I get into the middle of the street, and I'm thinking, like, okay, dude, we're about to have this showdown again, like in Arkham Origins, right? Next thing you know, they're like, call the Batmobile. And I'm like, okay, I call the Batmobile, and you're fighting Deathstroke in a freaking tank. Like, he has a tank. And if you want to talk about what doesn't fit people's characters, like, Deathstroke riding around in a tank does not fit his character. And I'm not a Deathstroke expert, but, like, what I've read and what I've seen of the character, he doesn't strike me as the type to roll around in a tank fighting you. You know what I mean? And the fact that it was the same exact boss fight as you had with the Arkham Knight earlier in the game, like, really let me down, too. That's when I was just like, oh, man, like, you guys are phoning it in now. So, like, that was a big letdown. That was, like, the only time where I was like, come on, dude. Like, I would really love to have a one-on-one fight again with this dude, like, and see how Rocksteady would carry it out. And And then the other part was after you beat him, like Batman goes and he knocks him out and puts him in the Batmobile, and you gotta drive him back to GCPD, right? So then, like, as you're driving back there, Deathstroke wakes up and he's like, "Oh, you know, where am I? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm taking you to the precinct." He pulls up to the precinct. Deathstroke gets out, and Batman walks him to his cell. And I was like, "Come on, man! Like, this could have been the time where you could have saved this boss fight, and you could have just had him like wild out in the police station, and you just like could have just gotten to this one-on-one fight where you got to fight him throughout the police station, dude. Like, they could have did something like that just to kind of save his character, you know, but they didn't do that. So that was like a really big letdown. But I mean, I guess it all can't be, you know, perfect, I guess, but that was a big letdown for me when I experienced that part. So if anybody else had a problem with that, I completely agree with you on that. Let's talk about the story. So the story I thought was really well put together. Like, it was dark. There were people, like, when they were dying, I was just like, damn, dude, like, this story is dark as hell. Like, I forgot how dark Rocksteady makes these games, you know what I mean? Like, when Barbara gets kidnapped in the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, shit just got real. Like, you know, because the whole city got evacuated, and Batman's like talking with Gordon and shit, and Gordon's like, oh, you know, I'm just glad my daughter made it out so she don't have to be in the middle of this crap. And then, like, I'm like, oh man, if he only knew that Barbara was down the street in the clock tower helping Batman out, you know what I mean? And then, like, the fact that she got kidnapped, I was like, damn, dude, how the hell are they gonna handle this shit? Like, how is Batman gonna let Gordon know about that, you know? But yeah, when that shit was happening, and then when she like blew her brains out and shit, I was just like, wow, they are really, really taking this shit to the next level. But she ended up dying, you know, she ended up living through it. Poison Ivy ended up dying though, I mean, but honestly, is she really dead? I mean, she just flew away in ashes. I mean, maybe she's like an even more powerful metahuman now. Maybe she's everywhere in nature in Gotham City. Who knows? But it was cool, man. I really think that this game, like, Rocksteady got to the point where I think they wanted people to do every single mission in this game, because it's really cool how they integrated the side missions into it. You know, most of them, not all of them. There were some that were a little out there, where there was a side mission with Azrael where he wanted to take over as Batman. So he's like, oh, you know, let me prove it to you. Like, let me prove to you I can be the next Batman. So Batman, like, sets up a little VR mission for him, and he, like, jumps off somewhere and just watches them from afar. And I'm like, you know, I can believe that you're going over to this end of town, tracking down Penguin with Nightwing. You know, I can like see you and Robin like going and taking care of, well, that was a part of the main story, so I guess that fit. But like, I can see you teaming up with Nightwing. I can see you like trying to help Catwoman get out of Riddler's trap. I don't see Batman like taking time out of saving Gotham to like go on top of a building somewhere and watch Azrael fight a couple of VR guys. You know, like that right there was a little disjointed. You know, I think the better way they could have did that was they could have just had him say, okay, Azrael, like, I'm about to go check out this thing over here, so why don't you come with me? I'll let you take care of it, and I'll sit up here and watch. You know, I'll get like a little breather because it's been a long night. You know, they could have did something like that, just something simple. But still, like it was cool the way like Azrael ended up being controlled by the Saint Dumas army or whatever the hell they were, some ancient order that he was working for that was manipulating them. But I guess I was cool with that. But just the way it was carried out, they had these like little small missions in there with Hush and some dude named Blackburn, who I've never heard of, but it was like these real simple missions where it's like, you know, Hush was impersonating Bruce and he like fucked up Lucius. So like you had to go there as Batman and kind of fuck with him and beat the shit out of him and toss him in jail. And I was like, I thought they could have did a little better with those. You know, it kind of just felt like they were throwing those in there just to kind of fill up the mission wheel, you know. The one that pissed me off the most was the Riddler one, because it was cool how he had Catwoman trapped and you had to like solve his riddles to like help her get the exploding necklace off. But the fact that you end up doing all that, you save Catwoman, and as you're about to leave, Riddler comes in with this big ass mech suit and he's like, oh, you like my mech suit, Batman? Like, now I can kill you and get this all over with. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's bad enough that you set up riddles for him to solve when you could just easily kill him in one of your little riddle mazes or riddle rooms. But now you come with a fucking mech and you threaten him, but then you run straight to a fucking underground bunker and say, I'm not gonna fight you till you find all my trophies. And it's like, come the fuck on. Are you kidding me right now? I can't believe they just did that, you know? And the fact you had to find the freaking Riddler trophies, it was pissing me off. Because you needed that to get the 100% of the game, which I got, which I guess I understand why they do the trophy thing, but it really doesn't make sense because people are just going to go on the internet and look for them, just like I did. Yeah, you're getting to see the city and explore all the work that everybody did, but at the same time, it kind of goes out the window when everybody just goes on the internet and says, okay, here's a trophy here, here's a trophy there, and you go and get it. That pissed me off. And while we're talking about the 100%, let's just go ahead and get that out in the open right now. I did not think it was worth it. You know, all the trouble that I went through to get those trophies to see that 100% ending was not worth it. Like, you know, everybody's trying to figure out who the figure was in the very end. If I had to guess, I would say it was Damian. Like, I don't know if they ever mentioned Talia and Batman sleeping together in the story, but if they did, I would put together that the person at the end was Damian, because let's just say like Damian grows up or he learns of what happened to his dad being killed and his mom being killed, and now Bruce Wayne possibly killing himself. Maybe he just like gets all pissed off about that and he's like, you know what? I'll be Batman and I'm going to fucking kill people, or I'm going to inject them with fear toxin or come up with some way to project fear toxin to somebody from afar. And I'm going to take them out that way. I'm going to be a new Batman. So if I had to guess, I would say it's Damian. Knowing Rocksteady and knowing how people usually do that kind of shit, they just leave it open to interpretation, which I hate that they do. It's like, don't take me on this ride for nearly a decade and then at the very end of it, leave this big question mark saying, figure it out for yourself. But, you know, whatever. What else can we talk about? And I think that's about it. Let's just get to the art, because we still got a lot to talk about. So, as you can see, I drew Batman and Arkham Knight. And this was a clusterfuck for me to draw. Like, this was one of the worst drawings I've ever done. It took forever to do because I didn't want to just draw it and ink it and put, you know, and color it with markers and stuff and call it a day. I just wanted to challenge myself a little bit. So I figured I'll just draw it all out and work on my shading and lighting, because I'm really bad at shading and lighting. So you can only get better if you try, right? So that's what I did. I tried to do it and it didn't turn out that well. But I mean, I had to try. Maybe I'll get it next time, you know? Speaking about the characters, let's just get right to it. The Arkham Knight. Dude, I love the Arkham Knight. Why do I love the Arkham Knight? Because it was my boy Jason Todd, you know? Everybody's all pissed off because they keep saying, well, Rocksteady said that it was going to be a brand new character. It was a brand new character. They did say that, but I don't know what you guys were doing, but when I was watching videos about the Arkham Knight game, there were so many videos on YouTube with everybody trying to figure out who Arkham Knight was. And it was all like well-established DC characters, right? Everybody was thinking it was Ra's. Everybody was thinking it was Talia. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why everybody's so pissed off that it was Jason Todd. Now, I'll tell you where they fumbled with Jason Todd was the fact that, for one, I mean, because they pretty much just retold their own version of Under the Red Hood. The way they messed up or they fumbled with Jason Todd with the reveal was the fact that they did not cover up Troy Baker's voice good enough. Because honestly, like, even if you didn't know who Jason Todd was or who the Red Hood was or who Troy Baker is, I think that anybody would be able to listen to the Arkham Knight's voice and listen to Jason Todd's voice and be able to say, like, you know what? Those voices sound very similar to each other. That must be the Arkham Knight. You know what I mean? Because when the game starts, when they first show him and he starts talking, his voice is all like synthesized, but I could still tell it was Troy Baker. So I'm like, well, at least now I know that it's a guy, just based off of the voice and based off of how he's walking around. When he first started talking, when you had that first conversation with Batman with him, it was like the way he just kept demeaning him, the way he knew everything about him, like he knew what his armor was made out of, he knew all of his tricks and stuff. I was like, he sounds like Jason Todd. Like this character is talking like Jason Todd, right? And it wasn't until you get to the part where Batman starts hallucinating again, where he starts remembering how Jason Todd was beaten and tortured by the Joker. And as soon as Jason started talking, I was like, holy shit, that's Troy Baker. Well, mystery's over. It's Jason Todd, right? So when he finally lifts up the mask and he shows that it's him, I was like, okay, yeah, like, you know, I saw that coming. And side note, I liked how they had to brand the J on his face because honestly, let's be honest, people, there are no like definitive characteristics to what Batman and Jason Todd look like. Like if you took Bruce Wayne, Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, and Tim Drake, and you put them like in a lineup and you ask somebody to like figure out which one's Batman, which one's Robin, which one's this guy, which one's that one, I bet you people wouldn't be able to figure it out. Like if Jason Todd if Arkham Knight would have lifted up his visor and shown his face, everybody would have been like, who the fuck is that? Who's that supposed to be? You know what I mean? So the fact that they had to put that J brand on his face really just shows you like DC needs to figure out some way to figure out, or they need to figure out how to show that this is this person without the mask on. You know, like when Iron Man's faceplate isn't on, or when he's outside of his suit, you can tell that who Tony Stark is. You can tell who Iron Man is. You know what I mean? So, but I thought that was kind of funny. The other part that they messed up on with the reveal was the fact that once he takes the visor off and you get into the fight with him, and then he has the Red Hood helmet on, and he puts that on, he automatically becomes a Red Hood. I thought that was kind of weird. I felt like that was where they should have just like carried out the whole Arkham Knight persona, and then at the very end of the game, after he saves Batman from Scarecrow, then they could have just been like, oh, you know, like I need to become something else. I need to become the Red Hood, because if memory serves me correct, Red Hood is supposed to be like a diss to Joker, you know, for the Joker beating and killing him, right? So I figured that Arkham Knight is just, I mean, well, obviously the Arkham Knight persona is a diss to Batman, you know, with him saying, I could be a better Batman than you know what I mean? So that's the way I took that. So I just feel like once he revealed himself to be Jason Todd and he gets into the fight with Bruce, like, somewhere along that line, they could have just been like, okay, well, you know, I came up with this new persona and now I'm the Red Hood, you know, so you can start calling me that because I don't want to be Batman. I don't want to take your job. Like, you can have it. You know, I'm going to do things my way. So now I'm Red Hood. I just felt like they could have did something like that. But all in all, I thought the whole Arkham Knight character was cool. Like, now I got to start buying Arkham Knight toys and action figures and statues along with my Red Hood statues and memorabilia. So I'll be looking forward to that. I would love to draw Arkham Knight some more, but he's a pain in the ass to draw. So until they start putting out some more pictures for me to make a reference off of, you know, I'm kind of going to stay away from trying to draw him for now. Or maybe I should just keep drawing him just so I can get better. You know, who knows? We'll see. Last thing I want to talk about is the Joker. I thought the Joker, I was really hoping that they wouldn't use a Joker in this game. In the back of my mind, I knew that they would find some way to fit him in. And so when he showed up, I was just like, oh, man, I wish they could have just did a story without Joker for once. But I guess it all makes sense when you think about all the past games. Like, I guess it all comes together, you know, it ends up roping back in. But what I loved about it was how they did bring him back, was how they used him, which was to display Bruce's psyche. Because I don't think they could have did that a better way to kind of explain what Bruce was thinking. Because when you're experiencing it, like, yeah, he's infected with Joker's blood. So like they're doing the whole thing where people are sort of like turned into the Joker. But I think they're just turning into the Joker like on the exterior. But in the interior, I felt like they were the same person. They were just more violent. And that was how Batman was. Like, he was still Batman. He was still Bruce Wayne. But on the inside, he was just a little bit more like violent. It was bringing out his more violent tendencies. That's why like he kept on beating people and killing people and stuff like when he was hallucinating. So I didn't like around the end of the game, I didn't look at it as the Joker is in Batman's brain or his persona is in Batman or Batman becoming Joker. I just felt like that was how Batman expressed his more aggressive side, you know? So like in the end of the game, when you're running around as Joker and you're killing like Two-Face and Penguin, and you're like in the Batmobile or the Joker mobile shooting up everybody in the warehouse, I look at that as Batman just like him saying, man, dude, like, yeah, I go out here with the damn car and my gadgets and, you know, and I got to spare everybody's life and stuff. And I really just want to fucking kill everybody. I want to set the riot ammo to off and put on my live ammo and just shoot every person in here and blow up everybody in here. And I want to go up to Two-Face and blow his freaking face off, both of them, you know? And you know, when he's crying about her, or when he goes up to Harley and sees her crying and stuff, and he's worried about her, I feel like this Batman, like, worried about Harley, like, you know, that both of them, like, share that grief of Joker being gone. Like, they don't really have anything left to live for, you know. And when Batman locks Joker away and saying that Joker's biggest fear is that everybody's going to forget about him, I took that as Batman, like, one of his biggest fears is that is people forgetting about him, you know, because of all the work that he's done in Gotham City, you know, all the work that he's done for people, all the lives that he's saved. Like, if he were to die one day, like, I figured he'd be scared that people would forget about him, you know what I mean? Or like, forget about Batman and forget about Bruce Wayne. So that's the way that I took it. And I think it's really cool how they did that, because I could see how everybody could take it as that's just Joker, like, in Batman's head. But I took it as just Batman projecting his, like, consciousness through the Joker, like, and kind of using the Joker as an excuse, or being his more violent side and embracing that more chaos side of him, you know. But that's about it, man. I've rambled on long enough. I've shared my thoughts on the game. Like I said, I loved it. It was my most anticipated game of this year. So far, it is my game of the year. I'm working on trying to platinum it right now, but, you know, so, and you'll know when I do, because one of these days I'm just going to come up on the show and I'm like, what's up? It's your boy Chewsy, aka the Platinum Knight. You know, when I say that, you'll know that I platinum the game. But until then, you know, I'm just slowly grinding on that. As far as, like, Rocksteady, like, I appreciate what you guys did. I thought you guys did a bang up job. It really sucks about the issues that the game is having on the PC, but anybody on PC who's waiting for that game and waiting for that game to buy it legitimately, I'm telling you, it's worth the wait, because the game is awesome. The game was amazing. I enjoyed my time with it. I can't stop playing it, which is one of the reasons why I'm trying to platinum the game. So yeah, as far as, like, what they should do next, I've already said they should just do a James Bond game. If they want to, like, take a risk, take a chance, and do something a little different, I'd say do James Bond. If they want to play it safe, I'd say do Green Arrow. He's about as close to Batman as you can get, especially if you watch the show Arrow. For the love of God, please do not do Superman. Don't do a Superman game. I mean, let's just face it, people. You can't make a Superman game, you know. He's going to be limited and restricted, and that's not what Superman's about. Superman's about being the god and doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. So take the Superman game idea and chuck it out the window. But if they do end up making a Superman game, I'm going to play it anyway, because they've proven their merit with the Batman games. So they've got my respect, and I'm at the point now where if Rocksteady Studios is on the game, I'm going to check it out. So yeah, that's it for me. You all take it easy. That was bad, but it could have been worse. And I'm out.